I have something a little bit different for you guys today. I am at V Satui Winery up here in St. Helena. My lovely wife Lizzie's with me, as you can see.
Hi everyone.
And I just got finished doing a wine tasting and I purchased one of their bottles of wine here. And I will share some of that with you guys throughout the video. And hopefully they won't kick me out of here for filming this video, but if they do, we'll resume somewhere else. But I thought, how cool would it be to shoot a video at a winery for you guys? These student loan payments resuming are going to basically mess up this housing market, guys, because there are 44 million people in the United States that have some level of student loan debt, okay? The payments are going to resume starting October 1st, which, in case you're not keeping track, is a couple of weeks from now. There are some things in place that are allowing people to basically delay paying these student loans. Like if you don't pay for the first, I believe it is 1 year, after the October 1st date rolls around, you won't be penalized and the non-payment won't go on your credit report, but it's going to make it so that you are basically just delaying the inevitable, because the whole time you're going to be accruing interest on your student loan, and if you don't pay, then that's it. You know, whenever the year rolls around, you'll have an additional 1 year of interest due on your loan. So everybody that is going to be responsible and start paying right now, well, that's great, but how is that going to affect the housing market? So basically, the reason why this is a big deal is because people that have student loan payments resuming in a couple of weeks from now, then that's going to mean less money that's able to go towards the mortgage payment, less money that's able to go towards paying regular bills. And if anybody has been dealing with lifestyle inflation and spending more than they should on things since this whole pause has been in place, because people haven't had to pay student loans basically for the past 3.5 years. So if that's the case, people are going to be feeling the struggle from this. It is possible that juggling a student loan payment along with a high mortgage payment right now could push some people over the edge into defaulting, which is obviously worst case scenario for a lot of people. But in the end, what that means is you're going to see foreclosures from this. And the thing is, I understand when you have foreclosures, it's not like it's tomorrow, guys. It's not like you have a foreclosure and then all of a sudden, you know, the next day the property is listed on the market. No, foreclosures take years. So if somebody defaults next month, then you probably won't see that foreclosure hit the market for like 2 or 3 more years, probably, at least. So it's a very delayed effect, but it is an effect for sure, and that's something that people need to understand from this.
Have you been here before?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember if we have or not, but I don't think we have.
So you can pick 5 wines off the menu.
Okay.
They're listed in the recommended tasting order, so it works best if you start at the top and work your way down.
No, it was.
And when you're done with your tasting, you can also take a bottle of wine out in the picnic area from the deli and enjoy
We
it.
got in the car. I read was that Sam on when we got in the car, and I didn't find out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
No, it was. I guarantee you.
Good.
I know because I was
Very good.
So anybody who has a student loan payment and a mortgage right now needs to look at how much is your student loan payment going to be when it resumes, and how much is your mortgage payment going to be also, guys, because no matter how much you think that's fixed, it can go up from rising property taxes and insurance, like we've covered hundreds of times already on this channel, and people just don't calculate that into their future budget. And you know, come the end of the year, you get your property tax bill and you just bought last year, it's like, oh my God, the bill just doubled. What am I gonna do? Now I have this student loan payment resuming. What am I gonna do? It's a problem. And here's one thing that I think is gonna happen from this. Like if you think that real estate demand is down right now and mortgage demand is down right now, just wait until these payments resume, okay? And also, maybe the Fed does another interest rate hike. Wait till all that happens and see where things go from there. Because I believe that we're going to see it get even worse. If people have to spend an extra $400 a month paying for a student loan payment, they're definitely not going to be out there applying for a mortgage. So that's what I'm thinking. And on top of that, they might not even be able to qualify anymore, because mortgages are all written based on your debt to income ratio. Well, now that you have this extra payment, I guess you don't qualify anymore. That can definitely happen. But we have other programs out there, like the ones I shared with you guys last week, where mortgage lenders are literally making it so that, oh, if you don't pay your student loan payment for a year, no problem, we'll still approve you based on that. So basically, what they're telling people from a lending standpoint is don't pay your student loan, get a mortgage instead. Does that sound like a smart financial decision to you guys? I don't know, right? But I guess that's what they're telling people. And these are the type of decisions that people are going to have to make, okay? Like, you need to decide as the student loan borrower what makes more sense right now. Do I pay the student loan? Do I get a mortgage? Do I do both? Can I afford to do any of this stuff? Is it the right time to do any of this stuff? And that's why you see all these companies coming out and saying, oh, well, we'll do 1% down mortgages, and we'll let you get a loan without paying your student loans for a year. That's not a problem, because the mortgage business is in trouble too, guys. So they don't care if this disrupts your personal finances for the next decade. They just want to make that sale from you. That's what they're trying to do right now. And one thing all of the housing experts are worried about from this now is the fact that, well, people have to pay these student loans and they don't qualify for mortgages anymore, at least not under the conventional way, and this kind of prices them out from the market, then younger people aren't going to be getting on the property ladder and they may end up getting priced out forever. So you keep hearing this same narrative over and over again, like, oh, people are going to be priced out forever. Oh, you'll never be able to buy a home. Once again, stirring up the FOMO engine, guys, trying to get you in right now. That's always the goal. Let's get people in right now while we can. I'm gonna see if I can take you guys out to the actual vineyard here and just walk through the vines. I don't know why, but I just thought that would be a super cool idea and do that with you. Lizzie and I are over here at V. Satui Winery up in St. Helena. I'm doing a wine tasting.
Cheers.
She doesn't drink, but I'm
I'm
trying them all out. I'm trying out the whole list of reds they have here. This is gonna be a glass of Old Vine Zinfandel. So you can rest assured, once I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I'm gonna be well liquored up for this one. So personally, I think that this whole thing with the student loans resuming is just going to slow down the housing market even further. And yeah, you're always going to have rich baby boomers that, have a ton of equity in their home that they purchased 20 or 30 years ago, able to spend more money and go out and buy real estate. But I would imagine that a lot of people in that age group probably don't even want to do that, guys. If you're 60, 65 years old, probably one of the last things you're thinking about right now is expanding your real estate portfolio. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, because I know a good chunk of people who watch my videos are in this age group, but I just don't think that people who are in this age group are looking to expand their real estate portfolio at the moment and just, be looking to get into enterprising and being the next big real estate investor. I think people in this age group are more or less looking to, keep their retirement going and just be happy, right? Not be dealing with more headaches that come with being a landlord. So let me know. I just always thought, since I started making these outdoor videos for you guys, that one day it would be super cool to walk through the vines like this and just make a video. And here I am. We're walking through a vineyard right now. You guys can see all the grapes here. They're so beautiful. They're so blue, so ripe. And man, the wine was fantastic. But anyhow, Robert Kiyosaki, a lot of you probably heard of him. He is the author of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, and he is also the first book that I read that got me thinking about, hey, maybe it's a good idea to own some real estate for investment, because a lot of people get rich like this. But after you actually do it in real life, you start realizing that there's a lot more work to it. There's a lot more money involved than you really think, and it's not just as easy as playing the cash flow game for anybody that really has played that before, which I think it's a fun game to play, but it's not realistic, guys. It's not real life. Like, when you own an investment property, you get all these problems that come up, whatever. Anyways, the point is, Robert Kiyosaki thinks that the actual housing market crash is going to begin from the Airbnb bust that's happening right now. I just talked to you guys a couple weeks ago about how New York City is essentially banning Airbnb by eliminating who can do Airbnb and where. They're basically making it so that people cannot do Airbnb unless you rent the place out that you are personally living in, and you have to be there when the guest arrives, and the person has to have access to the whole place. So you're essentially signing up to be roommates with people in order for you to do Airbnb in New York City now. And that's basically killing the entire Airbnb business over there. And they're implementing steep fines for people that don't comply. Now here's what Robert Kiyosaki actually said on X, or formerly known as Twitter. He said, Airbnb is to lead the real estate market crash. If you want a new home, your happy days are around the corner. Same for rental property. The best time to get rich is in a crash. And I agree with Robert on the fact that he said that the best time to get rich is in a crash. However, a lot of people think that there won't be a crash. But the thing is, we have so many different headwinds facing the housing market right now that we can easily end up in a crash scenario over the next year to year and a half with everything that we're facing, with inflation, high interest rates, unemployment potentially going up, inflation is going up. We don't know how long and how much higher the interest rates are going to go. And there's just so many things, guys. The student loans that we just talked about, the credit card debt is ballooning, the HELOCs are ballooning. It's all basically pointing to signs of a bubble. Well, Airbnb could be the catalyst for this crash. We don't know, but it's just another thing. It's another headwind for the market that is building up right now as we speak. And right now, you have 70% of short-term rentals in New York City basically being erased from the Airbnb market because of these new laws there. And it's not just in New York City this is happening, it's happening in other places across the country as well. And here's the problem with Airbnb. A lot of people bought properties during the pandemic thinking, oh, well, I will just buy this property and put it on Airbnb and make a ton of money on a short-term rental. But here's the problem. A lot of people that bought these short-term rentals didn't factor in how much can I actually rent this place for long-term? Will this work as a long-term rental? A lot of people bought these places and the only way that they can actually afford them is by doing Airbnb. And when you have places in like New York City where you have people literally saying that without Airbnb, they won't be able to afford their mortgage. Imagine what's going to happen when a lot of these people that bought for Airbnb can no longer Airbnb. What are they gonna do, guys? You think they're gonna turn into a long-term rental? Oh wait, the numbers don't work and I'm getting crunched for cash. No, most people are gonna just turn around and sell it because that's gonna be the quickest way to liquidate and get out of the property while you can, while prices are still high, and take as much cash as you can from it. But the problem is, the more people do that, then the faster the whole show comes down. Because when you have a bunch of people trying to sell all at once, that's what ends up crashing the market. You can even look at all the people who say that there won't be a housing crash, saying that the main reason is because we have low inventory. But if that changes and we all of a sudden have a lot of inventory, then that dynamic just got flipped on its head. And we actually have data to back this up from my friend Nick over at Reventure Consulting, because he put out this viral tweet a while ago that shows how much people are losing with Airbnb right now. And he listed the top 10 cities and how much people were making in 2022 versus 2023, okay? And this goes from the May numbers. And the difference is quite startling, guys. You have all the way at the top of the list, you got Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas, people making 46, 47% less money right now than they did a year ago. And it just goes all the way down the list. You have places like San Antonio, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Denver, Colorado, Breckenridge, Lakeland, Florida, Seattle, Orlando. People are hemorrhaging money with Airbnb and not making nearly as much as they did just 1 year ago. And imagine once we hit this official recession, where things are going to be with it. You think they're going to be making as much money when people aren't traveling and they're not spending money and staying in Airbnbs? It's going to be probably a disaster. You know, it's been a while since I've done one of these wine tastings, but one thing I noticed is the further you go down the list, the more expensive the wines get and the better they taste, so it's much easier to sell you a nicer bottle. So fair warning, if you ever come to wine country, then you're probably going to get upsold on buying a nicer bottle. It is good though. And here's what I think, you know, like I see new buildings being built right now in Miami that are supposed to be used for Airbnb. Like you don't have to, but they're being built exclusively for Airbnb. Check out this email that I got from a real estate agent in Miami that's trying to sell one of these new constructions. Take a look at what it says. First condo residents in Miami approved for Airbnb short-term and long-term rentals. They're all furnished with an optional management team waiting to provide the 24/7 concierge service you deserve. Attention realtors, 6% commission. So you know you got to get out there and sell that for that 6% commission, okay? But it's such a good deal that they're lowering the price by 100 grand. It went from 958,000 to 850,000 for this Airbnb friendly rental. Now, if everybody wanted to do Airbnb and it was such a cash cow right now and everybody was just banking, these places would be sold out. But instead, they have to give $100,000 price cut and still no one's buying it. So what does that tell you about the state of affairs right now with the profit margins for things like doing Airbnb, guys? I mean, it's just not there, at least not when you spend $850,000 on a place. You need to be spending way less than that and being able to rent the place out for way more if you want to have any shot at actually making some real money. And speaking of Florida and Miami in general, you know, this has been such a boom area, guys, and as a resident of this area and living there full time except for this summer, which is kind of nice to be away from there and out of the heat, well, everything is kind of starting to slowly turn around in Florida as well, okay? There was a car dealership recently and they basically just closed up all of their locations. You had this car dealership called Off Lease Only, and they were a used car dealership. They said they're going to permanently shut down. They're saying that the automotive industry has witnessed considerable changes with independent used vehicle dealers facing intense competitive pressures. They always come up with these, you know, crazy sayings to make it sound like, well, this is why we need to do this and that, and close down. But it's all just a shortcut for saying we're not making enough money, so we have to close. So basically, because they're a used car dealership, the combination of high prices and increasing interest rates for getting a car loan has strained the market, and it basically has killed consumer demand. Kind of similar to what you're seeing happen right now with the mortgage industry. But people can only hang on for so long, guys. Like, you cannot continue to sell cars if people can't afford to buy them at 9 or 10% interest rates for a used car loan. And what this all boils down to is another 466 people being laid off. And you know, the reason I find this surprising is because you drive around South Florida and you see nothing but a bunch of fancy cars, and everybody, either they are rich or they're pretending to be rich, yet the used car dealerships are the ones that are closing up and losing money, because the real people, you know, the 80% of people out there that need to buy a used car can't afford to buy one, and these car dealerships are closing down. So that should give you a reality check of the state of affairs with the market and the economy in general right now. So this off-lease only company was trying to secure a buyer for the business to basically stay in business that would just essentially take over, but everything ended up falling through. It didn't work out, and they have to close up the doors, and 466 people are going to lose their jobs over this. So as of September 7th, 2023, which was already a few days ago, that's it, guys. Everybody's done. No more work. But the only good thing is the people that have lost their jobs from this will get 60 days of compensation after they're actually let go. So they have a 2-month buffer period there for still getting their full pay, which is a nice thing. I look at all this and I look at it as a reflection of where the economy is headed right now. If you don't think these high interest rates are going to be killing more and more business the longer they stay higher and potentially even go higher than this, then obviously you're not listening, guys, because you're seeing it happen right now. But the thing is, the longer these interest rates remain high, the more businesses like this it's going to kill. It's going to become a problem. So here's the deal. As I suspected, the most expensive wine tastes the best. Surprise, surprise. And it goes from $42 a bottle up to $88. So yeah, I'm gonna buy a bottle. I've never bought a bottle of wine from a winery in my whole life. This is like a cool experience I just want to do. I probably won't buy the most expensive one because you guys know how I am. But I probably will buy one to support the business and keep them going. and just enjoy a nice bottle of wine with dinner later on. Now here's another interesting thing that one of my viewers, Kevin, sent me, which I'd never heard of until he mentioned it in the comments, and I asked him to send me some more information on this. And that is that the state of Oregon, okay, they're gonna possibly become the first state to use Medicaid for temporary rent assistance. So what they're trying to do over there in Oregon, they're trying to prevent homelessness from spreading and becoming even worse, because obviously their homeless epidemic over there is basically becoming the next California, and they just have too many people on the streets, and it's becoming dangerous and disgusting, just like a lot of areas over here. If they get approval for this, they'll be able to provide people up to 6 months of rent assistance as a medical necessity, is how they're classifying this. If this works out, then they would be able to start dispersing the benefits as soon as November 1st of 2024. What do you know? Right around Election Day. So their idea and their plan with this is to help people who are medically and economically vulnerable to avoid becoming homeless in the first place. They're saying it's due to a shortage in affordable housing. They're saying because housing is so expensive, it disrupts people's ability to stay current on their housing payments, and because they need to be connected to mental health or substance use services to maintain stable housing. So it looks like there's actually another element to this as well. It's not just the fact that mortgages and house payments are expensive. It looks like they're also trying to help people that have mental health or drug abuse problems from becoming homeless, because a lot of the people that you see on the streets, unfortunately, are afflicted with these diseases, and they don't want more of that. But their solution to it is, let's keep everybody in the house for 6 more months. Like, that doesn't sound like a very long-term solution, guys. Like, I understand that somebody that's not addicted to crack or whatever, and is just not able to make enough to get by, needs a little temporary assistance. I think that's probably a good thing, that they help somebody like that stay in their house versus get evicted or foreclosed on, right? But when you're talking about somebody that's, blowing all their cash that they make on drugs or alcohol or who knows what else, and they're just sick in their head, that's not going to help somebody like that. It's just going to delay the inevitable. They're going to keep them in the house for 6 more months until they're not in the house. And it's just going to be a waste of taxpayer money in the end. And, it's going to be all for nothing, essentially, because they're delaying the inevitable. And so there's always this question mark. Does people not being able to afford a place to live cause this drug addiction and mental illness? Or is it the other way around? Because people are addicted to drugs and have mental illness, that's why they're not able to stay in the house. Now, I don't know which one comes first. It's like asking what came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know, guys, but it doesn't really matter. I think that they're trying to tackle a problem here and get ahead of something that is just basically a losing battle, okay? Because when people are addicted to drugs, doesn't matter how much money you give them to stay in their house, that's not their priority. The priority is getting their next fix. And that's what they're not acknowledging here with programs like this. I think, my personal opinion, they shouldn't be giving money to people who are addicted to these substances like that. Sure, if you're a single mom and you're falling behind on your payments because you're only making 18 bucks an hour and you have 2 kids and you just can't make it anymore, fine, help someone like that until that maybe they can find a better paying job or have time to figure out a second job or whatever it is they need to figure it out. And that will give them the buffer between becoming homeless or not. But giving it to people that are addicted to crack makes no sense in my mind. That just sounds like ludicrous, and they're delaying the inevitable with this. And based on what they're saying, that's what they're trying to do. Because they say that they estimate about 125,000 people meet the federal definition of at risk for being homeless right now in the state of Oregon. And also, if they pass this, it will set a precedent for other states that will try to do the same. We could literally see our Medicaid money going towards drug addicts to keep them in their house for 3 months longer, rather than helping to keep grandma in the hospital or, having the pills on the nightstand. You know what I mean? So I don't know. This is just crazy. And that's where things are headed right now. And it doesn't even just end there. They're looking to use this for, nutrition benefits such as medically tailored meals that would become available starting January 1st, 2025. Connecting people with, mental health or substance abuse services. They're trying to look at it as using it for that. If they connect somebody that needs help and wants to get help and use the money to actually get somebody help, I think I'm okay with that. But not when it comes to, continuing to pay all of their bills and keep them in the house when they're spending all of their own money on buying drugs. So I think there needs to be a cutoff there. Like, okay, you need help, you need to keep your house, otherwise you're going to be homeless. So you need to go get help. And that's what the money goes towards, rather than trying to continue to, keep somebody in the house. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. It's a complicated issue. I've been drinking, as you know, and I just had to spew that one out a little bit and just kind of think my mind. And it's a beautiful evening over here in Napa Valley. Just want to say thanks for everybody who watches my videos. And hopefully you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different take on what I normally do. So if you guys enjoyed this video from the winery, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.